Hi, welcome to the Cows Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Burney. A catalyst is defined as a person or thing that precipitates an event. A catalyst is something that it participates in a reaction but does not get consumed in the reaction. There's a heart behind this podcast for, people with aspirations. There's a heart behind this podcast for motivated people that want to make a difference, that have a bias for action, that really truly want to be a catalyst in the environment around them, both professionally and personally, in their homes, in their workplace, and beyond. So welcome to this podcast. I really hope you're enjoying the series that we're in. Welcome to this episode, and let's dive right in. Okay, we are jumping into the third segment with Amanda Fisher. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've listened to the first two segments before diving into this one. Otherwise, you'll likely miss out on some of the context of our conversation here. But we've been talking around the series, This is Leadership. Amanda has a great story of really blazing a trail in the accounting field in what traditionally was a male-dominated profession, and has evolved over some years. But she's gotten to the point where she really she's a consultant, and she works with small businesses to help them really thrive around finances and understand the bigger picture and how things play in. And she was just sharing in episode 2 a cool story of one of her teams that she built and was really a healthy, thriving team. And then she felt like she needed to move on to the next chapter of her career. And when it was kind of looking in the rearview mirror, like, wow, okay, that was better than I thought. It sounded kind of like you don't know what you have until it's gone, kind of thing, almost.
Yep, it definitely was. And look, part of me is a little, part of me at the time when I realized, kind of went, oh, why didn't you kind of sell it and walk away from it? But equally, I was doing that because I felt that my what I could give and do would be better served by me being out from doing that kind of work and allowing me to have the freedom to do more and help more people in the manner that I wanted to. So it was the right decision, but it was funny looking back going, yeah, that was good. Why did I let it go?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate sharing that. And as we get into this third segment and kind of begin to close out the conversation, my main objective in this third segment is really two things. What are you excited about looking forward, and what advice do you have to the earlier career professional and maybe an aspiring manager and leader? But before we get into that, I think what's cool about what we were just referring to is that gave you kind of a template. Once you recognized that was a thriving team and a healthy team now, and you have that leadership experience coupled with the professional expertise around accounting. Now you couple that with your current platform and helping spread that into multiple organizations. That's an even greater calling and opportunity to impact more people. So I think that's a great aspect of it. But I just wanted to comment on that as we pivot into this segment, because I think that's really powerful. And again, if you haven't listened to the segment and you're listening to this right now, go back and catch that. But as we get into this third segment, if you can just start by sharing, what are you excited about looking forward with your current cash flow queen work and consultant work, and looking forward this year and beyond.
I'm just looking forward to continuing doing what I do, which is helping people. And there's nothing better for me than to spend some time with a business owner in whatever format that is, and to see kind of the lights go on, kind of going like, oh, is that what that means? Now I get it. And so not only just that kind of the ahas that I get it kind of comments, which just sends sort of shivers up my spine, but also from that, seeing the difference in the financial results. And I get just so excited when I'm looking at a set of numbers and look back sort of, even 12 months ago or 3 months ago to see what it was, when we started working, what it is now, and go, look how much difference we've made. Now, I can't take credit for everything. No, if the revenue is going up, that's your work. But so many of the other things and some of the other results, it is because the business owner understands their numbers. So for me, the excitement is getting that knowledge in other people's hands and being able to see that they understand how they can use it and what to do with it, and then B, to see the absolute financial results. So that's what gets me out of bed in the morning every day, and that's what excites me. In terms of what's coming up in this next 12 months, well, we've still got a weird world that we live in, and I don't expect that I'm going to be on an international aeroplane for some time to come yet. Very frustrating because I do love to travel. So there'll be a lot more of these Zoom meetings, a lot more of the online conferences, and so the presentations that are online, a lot more of the online world. But to me, I don't care whether I'm standing in front of a room, people speaking, whether I'm online or I'm on a telephone, as long as as long as I can get that message through and get the results from that and see people get the results, or getting those emails out of the blue. I saw you at a conference and I did what you told me to do, and 12 months later and XYZ has happened. It just blows my mind. Just sometimes just that one couple of hour conference session, and they had one of my books and they just implemented everything, and it's like, this is just so cool, because you can do it by yourself with the knowledge. It's just getting that knowledge out there. So that's what I'm super excited about, and I don't know, I'll just continue doing it, obviously, as long as I can, and as long as well, I won't say as long as people need it, because I suspect that'll be longer than I'm prepared to work for. But just if I can make an impact on other people's lives, because too many business owners suffer by sort of what I call bumbling along at the bottom. So just kind of eking it out from 1 month to the next, just enough money to pay the bills, or maybe not quite, not really drawing, enough money to take home to really cover the bills. And some of the reason they're at that level is because they don't understand the numbers. So if I can, make an impact on some of their lives and ensure their business success and their success, then I believe that's what I'm here for. And it took me a while to work that one out, but I do believe, I always knew I was here for a bigger purpose, and I believe that's it. So I'm very excited about the upcoming years. I do think it's constrained to more the online, but that's life as we know it, and it's still the same message.
Yeah, no, I love that response, right? Because that's very positive, and it's easy in light of, especially for somebody like yourself that shares that you're really looking forward to, you love traveling, and hope to get back to that. I appreciate your response, the positivity, and you're right, kind of the way you ended that. Your message is your message, and the medium is to some extent irrelevant, although it is important for how certain people absorb it and kind of take it with them.
Correct.
So, and I think we talked about in our introductory conversation some books, multiple books, right? But you had one more recent one. Is that right?
Yes, I do. So my most recent one got a funny image of me on the cover called "Strangled by the Numbers," and it does tell a lot more of my stories of what has happened over the years and the lessons I've learned. And what I've realized is that different situations in business require looking at different numbers. So when my income was dropped by 40%, I needed to look at what my, there were key numbers I needed to be looking at there to work out how I was going to survive on 40% income after the partnership, change. So that was different to when I started out in business, on my, starting the business, as to how I was going to make that build up. So different situations mean looking at different numbers. And I think that there's been a tendency for the industry generally to say, oh, you need to focus on your revenue, and you need to focus on, your accounts receivable days. You need to focus on, a couple of other things. Yes, but not always. And sometimes you need to be focusing on something else as a priority to all of those, because that situation means that's what you need to be looking at. So I think, it's a key lesson that, one set of numbers is, looking at the same numbers all the time is not going to make a different result. And businesses do go through different situations. You have, well, I guess, so many of them have had a struggle through 2020 and is, potentially going to be struggling through 2021. The cash flow becomes an absolute priority. Yes, revenue is important because it funds the cash flow, but really honing in on the cash flow is more important than ever now. But at the same time, making sure you're making a profit. So, I was saying to someone the other day, just making more sales and doing more in your marketing to get more sales is great. But if you're not making a profit on it, then you're just losing more and more money. So, you've got to make sure that all the numbers interrelate. So, that's the kind of where I'm heading for at the moment.
Yeah. So have you done any events promoting the book, or is it anything that's part of like a regular, I guess a showing or, interaction for you or?
Yes, so we launched it. I launched it in November, and I'm now in the process of putting a series of training programs together that dive deeper into each of the sections of the book.
Nice.
And we're continuing to promote it. It's available on Kindle and may or may not now. Hopefully now should be available print on demand on Amazon as well. So it makes it easier for. From an international perspective to get their hands on the book from a local printing exercise. So it should be available now, I think, on Amazon. And it's just a continual promotion. So part of that is when I'm speaking, I'm usually referring to it, and just ongoing promotion through through the normal social media channels and websites and all those good things.
Yeah, and while you're mentioning that, I will be sure there will be links in the show notes for anyone listening. You can find out Amanda's best way to get in touch with her and connect with her on social media. Will definitely be in the show notes. Just real quick, I wanted to pivot to what advice do you give as you currently mentor? Maybe not necessarily to the business owner. I mean, I would be interested in hearing that. But for the purpose of this conversation, what advice have you given in your mentoring for the younger professional, for maybe someone going through that career pivot and transition as a manager and leader? What kind of sticks out to you? Top, few things maybe.
Yeah, I think there are a few values that I've been kind of living my life by in recent times, and one of them is stealing from the Nike slogan and Australianizing it a little. So I hope I don't offend, but I do a just bloody do it. Australians kind of that's kind of our thing. So in many ways, if it's be brave, be courageous, take that step and just do it. The first time I was asked to do a podcast interview, I was scared silly about it. I'm not sure. The voice probably quavered. I'm not quite sure. It was probably horrible. It was probably fine, but I know I was nervous as whatever. But the first time that you do the first one, it's like, actually, that wasn't so bad. and then you do a second one, and then you do the third one, and so, you know, you kind of build the confidence as you go. But I think the first thing is just, if you want to do something, just go for it, give it a go. But a corollary to that is finding a safe place to test it out. So yeah, I did a panel interview for American Express here in Australia a few years ago. I hadn't done a lot of speaking at the time. And, you know, if you want to jump in boots and all in the deep end into, you know, sort of a high level corporate kind of thing, yeah, I did that. I wouldn't recommend it. It was scary as all whatever. And, you know, so sort of start small, start in that, you know, test it out, try, you know, do a speaking engagement in front of 10 people instead of something in front of hundreds, you know, to just give you, to build up that confidence. So finding a safe place to kind of trial things and starting kind of low, unless you really are, you know, really gutsy, in which case go for it. And as I say, just give it a go. And I think the other thing for people coming through is look wider at your options. There are, like, when I started, there was kind of like, if you're going to be an accountant, you become, you know, CPA. This is the road you travel. It was quite a narrow road. That's what you do, and yet it doesn't have to be that way. And I think you're looking outside the box as to, oh, I could do something different. Like, I love, you said you did a leadership program and you've got an engineering degree. I mean, how that, anyway, another day we might have a further conversation about that. But right. Like, it's, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's like, logically speaking, you should have gone off and done some engineering job, but no, you went and did a leadership thing. Think differently, think about, and I think part of that is, whilst when you're younger going through, you know, age 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever is a jolly long way away, and it's like, oh, that's forever, and really do I need to worry about it? Start thinking long term. Start thinking about, what skills could I have to build to get to where I'm going? And there's some friends of mine who, and I think I probably do it a bit too without realizing it, very strategic about what they're doing. So I've got a colleague of mine who's doing some pro bono work specifically to get some skills, so that when they're going through the next, you know, the next job they want to go to, they can say, yes, I've got skills in XYZ. Yes, I did it in a pro bono situation, but I've got the skills. So sometimes it's also about looking at, how can you develop the skills that might help you get that next role, or help you, if you want to go into business, to build some of those skills while you're working somewhere else or doing something else. How can you kind of feed in those foundations, maybe not the foundations so much, but build that level of knowledge and information that will stand you in good stead for when you are looking to do something down the track. So I think, from my numbers perspective, sorry, I have to come back to the numbers. I do it every time. I'm sorry, Hunter. But from a numbers perspective, one of the things I say is, stop looking over your shoulder at the past. You need to be looking at the future. You need to be looking at, what's the future money coming in, money going out, what's the plans for the future. And I think the same with, you know, with what we're doing with our you know, work and ourselves, is, what can we do for the future? Don't forget what you've done in the past. That's important. But can you develop something now, or start working towards something now that will help you in the future? So I'm a forward-facing, future-focused kind of a gal, and in whatever format that is. So it's the numbers in my world in general, but in the bigger picture of leadership is, you know, where do you want to go? How can you get there? What might that look like? And being quite broad in the potential opportunities that come your way, because you just never know. Something comes out of left field and you go, oh, that would be so cool to do that. I don't have the skills for it. I don't qualify it. I don't, whatever. If I'd only done da-da-da, I could have taken that. And I think that's that's really key, is just always be looking towards the further down, you know, a bit further down the track than that short term, looking a bit more long term, I think is really key to keeping those options open. I think I'm all about keeping options open.
Yeah. Wow. That's golden. And I would definitely, support and reinforce what you just shared. As you can tell, my background is not one that's typical. And so I resonate with a lot of what you were saying. So I appreciate you sharing that. So as we begin to close out, I just want to, I'm just curious, just kind of a random question. You mentioned wanting, really enjoying traveling, and that's one thing I've asked several of my guests. Of course, it's been kind of a strange question to ask the last several months, but when things do, when you feel comfortable getting back out in the world and the timing's right, do you have any expectations of where you want to go? Or do you have a favorite place that you go to, like a conference, or you just vacation every year or something like that?
So I have a few challenges in answering that question because it's a bit of a long list, but I'll keep it short and brief. I spent my teenage years in Canada, and to me, Canada is a bit of a spiritual home. So probably the first place I will head will be what I call back home to Canada. I've lived in Australia for most of my life, but I would go, Canada is certainly very high on my list. The other places that I love, so I love snow. Yes, I know you probably don't. It's that white stuff that's a nuisance. But I fell in love with snow when I lived in Canada, and I love winter. I love snow, and yes, I'm probably thankful I don't live in it for 6 months of the year, and I just go visit for a short period. But I accept it's different. So for me, heading up into the likes of northern Scandinavia, up into the Arctic Circle is Iceland. I've been to before. I'd love to go back again. Up in northern Finland, northern Norway, heaven for me. I've got a friend who has had a postponed wedding in Alaska that I'm looking forward to the Alaska wedding trip whenever that is back on. So that'll be high on the agenda. So yeah, if you kind of, generally speaking, northern hemisphere and sort of north in terms of Arctic Circle type areas, that's my all-time favorites. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's the first time I've gotten that answer. So it's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah. Before we sign off, what is I know we'll have, some things in the show notes, but just for anybody listening, what would be the best or preferred way to reach out to you or connect with you?
Probably the easiest way is through my website, thecashflowqueen.com.
Okay.
All ways to connect through there.
Yeah, perfect. Well, man, it's been a pleasure. Like you said a few minutes ago, I think maybe there's a couple, tangent conversations that we should have coming off of this. I really enjoyed it. I think we share a similar heart around a lot of things, especially leadership. I need some education in numbers, so I can't speak from that aspect, but I do really appreciate what you shared about your journey and pouring into people that are coming behind you and can learn from your experience. And I would definitely say you're a trailblazer. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Hunter. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a part of this journey. Definitely subscribe, check out Be a Catalyst on Instagram and on Twitter. Also, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel where you'll find videos in addition to the Catalyst podcast recordings that give a little bit more context around my heart for training, my heart for seeing early to middle managers and first-time leaders really thrive and be a catalyst in the organization that they're in the project that they are after, everything that goes along with that. So thank you for being a part of this. Tune in for the next episode, and remember, be you, be confident, be a catalyst.